Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So a lot of people have asked me why Meghan does what she does and what is my take on it. What is her overall overarching goal? And this is my personal conclusion. The truth of the matter is that she seeks and has no real interest in supporting any of Harry's charitable endeavours, and she has no real interest in supporting Harry in any way, shape, or form. Meghan wants it all. So her overarching plan is to wreak havoc throughout Harry's life, including his charitable endeavours. She doesn't want him to have anything outside of herself. Now, Meghan, of course, is a true narcissist in malignant form. They have the ability to shapeshift, adopt the positive traits of their partners, and they consume them, assume them, mimic them, and then they move on. Once the person is a used up, dried out, washed up carcass, they simply move on to a juicier replacement. This is her overarching mission. She does seek to destroy Harry. He is, unfortunately, sleeping with the enemy. He will not come out on top and he will not have anything left after she is done with him. Like a praying mantis, she will unalive her spouse. So I've come to this conclusion over a number of years of studying this couple, and of course having my own personal sources and contacts have given me invaluable insights over the last few years. Now you see that Harry has always had very good charitable relationships, and he didn't have any real issues until Meghan joined the scene. When, of course, he married Meghan and he assumed that connection with her on that fateful day, everything took a turn for the worst. She has oftentimes displayed strange character traits and strange behaviours, breaking with royal protocol when she shouldn't have, and she has accused various members of the royal firm, including working staff such as the royal aides, of acting against her personal interest, all of which is conflated and not true. That was her first port of destruction. His relationship with his royal aides, his relationship with his family. And she quite openly was comfortable to target them during that Oprah interview, essentially saying, after commissioning Omid Scooby, who now is nowhere to be seen because he accidentally, or did he, leaked the two names of the two royals they were accusing of being racist, such as Catherine, our beloved Princess Catherine, and King Charles. She openly said they asked us what colour the baby would be. Now, I personally feel, as a black woman, this is a reasonable question to ask because I would ask it myself. There is a juxtaposition between African and Eurocentric features, and of course, a lot of people are always excited to find out what character traits the child will take on. But they deemed this as racist, and of course, that was a way for her to villainize. Harry doesn't really have a full handle understanding, I personally feel, on what racism actually is. And I guess someone who's lived a muddy cuddled life and has been protected, so to speak, from the real world wouldn't really have an understanding of that. But Meghan fed him this brief and she said, I've been out there, I've been in the real world. They're talking about my skin tone, they're talking about the baby's skin tone. We're under threat. Your family's racist. And of course, he jumped to her aid, believing that after she assumed the identity of his late mother, I have to protect this woman. She's Diana 2.0. And so that was her first port of destruction. Her second port of destruction now, which she's hard at work on, is of course his relations to the charities. She has to sever his connections with the charities in order to get to her overarching goal, which is to take half of his wealth. Harry doesn't really have much left at this point. Hence, we see him desperately turning up to court cases that he has no business turning up to, constantly appealing for his IPP protection at the Court of Appeal in order to win a battle that he cannot win, because it's eaten a large chunk into their finances. They do not have enough, or should I say, they don't have much more than a 5-year plan. So they're scrabbling, they're scrapping, and they're scraping. If they do not get the IPP status back, of course, Harry has said it himself, his fantasy life in America is doomed to fail. So we saw these strange character traits at the Invictus games, whereby Harry was, against his will, being filmed behind the scenes. Now, during the 2025 Invictus games, Meghan started prolifically filming and breaching the couple's privacy. Now, the media had never had such inside access to behind the scenes of the Invictus games before, other than when Meghan decided to launch her social media account. In order to make it about her, she returned to Instagram and began to ferociously start filming members, volunteers, and private events against all of the participants' will. This is documented in Town and Country. This article, titled "At Invictus, Meghan Markle Takes Back Control of Her Narrative," and they begin to talk about the way in which they had never seen such private access. Close-up footage of Prince Harry, her Instagram stories really came into play during their private events this week. The majority of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's engagements in Vancouver and Whistler were closed to the media. They travel with their own photographer and approve the images that get shared of those events. In fact, press was given a very limited access to the Sussexes during their time here. Often, more than half of their engagements of the day would be private. So when there was no journalists in the room, Meghan's Instagram became the main source of content, and thus she was able to control the narrative. Meghan also insisted that she had a helping hand in the launch of the Invictus Games. It has been leaked. She insisted that she gave a speech to introduce her husband on stage, and it was just pointless because she doesn't have any real role or purpose, but she actually fought with Harry about this. And she essentially said, if you don't give me a role, I think it's unfair because you've taken all of this time away from me, all of this time away from the kids. The kids have been watching you for weeks on that blasted phone. She can't stand him having anything outside of herself. She wants to drive Harry completely insane. And how is she going to do that? He has no family. He's cut off Eugenie, Princess Eugenie, his cousin, because Meghan told him so. Because Meghan doesn't have a very good relationship with Piers Morgan, so Eugenie was perhaps having lunch with Piers Morgan, and basically the last blood royal that he had a relationship with has been axed from his life. Charles is refusing to speak to him because he's in a fragile state and he doesn't want to be maligned by his son. William is very depressed and he's planning to strip their titles. So who does he have? His best friend Skippy was banished. Well, everything and everyone that he had has been removed. Meghan also insisted that she had a helping hand, and so she forced him to allow her to give what they called a heartfelt speech. But during this speech, there was a line that she came out with that was quite a pronounced attack. And she says here, quote, "With families, the big rush in the morning and getting ready for school and packing the lunch boxes and making breakfast, and my husband is in all of that with all of us," she said. What did that really have to do with the Invictus Games? I mean, these people have lost limbs. They've lost vital parts of their lives, trauma, stress, mental health, everything that comes with what they've been through. And she's talking about lunch boxes? So weird. So she goes on to say, adding that Archie often questions why Harry is on his phone so much. His response, because it's Invictus. I'm getting ready for Invictus. Now, of course, Archie did not ask Harry why he's on his phone so much. Archie is an innocent kid, playing with his toys in the background, doing whatever kids do. She didn't like the fact that he was on his phone so much. She didn't like the fact that he had something to look at and focus on outside of her. Now, other reports have leaked that Meghan had a lot of tension and friction between organisers of the Invictus Games. They were questioning why she had to be there, why she wanted to lead these book reading events to the kids when it had absolutely nothing to do with her. And she essentially forced her way in, like what she done with the polo match with Sophie Sentebale, where she was extremely rude and she arrived unannounced. So she forced her way in. She insisted that she had a prominent role, otherwise Harry had to take days off. And she essentially said, well, this has had a significant impact on my family life. And my husband and I have been separated during this time because he's been spending all of this time launching and organizing all of the events and going to meetings in order to make sure that the ceremony runs smoothly. And so I should have a role in that because my husband's been taken away from me and our kids have sacrificed something in this. Just a conflated reason in order to sabotage what he had going on. And so she was very rude and dismissive, and she said, I'm the Duchess of Sussex and I have a right to have a prominent role. And you'll see it in the images of her butting in, as she always did, stepping in front of Harry and shaking hands of organisers, attendees, and sponsors who cared nothing for her presence. She insisted, but what she has to do is make everyone feel, I guess, it's a normal and essential for her to be there so that she can sabotage it. And that's exactly what she plans to do. She's going to sabotage Travelist. She's going to sabotage Invictus, and they will all drop like a deck of cards, one by one, because she needs Harry to have nothing. Seek divorce on the grounds of his insanity, and move on to her next victim like a praying mantis. With all that being said, guys, I'll be back with another video. Bye.